And I know what you're saying. I know exactly what everybody's thinking. This is a yellow tool in a sea of red right now. Welcome back, big time guys. And we're back with another big time top 5. Today, top 5 hand tools that any homeowner needs around the house. Big time Rufus, kick us off.
Well, if you caught our big time power tool top 5,
Which I hope you did.
there's 2 tools that you're gonna need with some of those power tools. And that's a good tape measure and a combination square. You gotta be able to measure where you're gonna cut, where you're gonna drill. How can you not have a tape measure? Combination square.
Well, yeah, what's that?
This guy allows you to draw 90-degree angles,
Okay.
and kind of measure things.
Like
Hey, I'll get 4 inches, and then be able to mark a line.
Okay, that's cool.
These don't need to be expensive tools, but a lot of the good combination squares, they'll have a little scribe in them, which is really nice. And then so if you're working on something, you can just scribe that line on
that's
in,
pretty cool.
which is awesome. And then also 45. So square at 90, square at 45. You can mark that piece of material, be able to cut it.
And I'm noticing that also has a level built into it.
It's also got a nice little level if you need a level. But yeah, this is the first tool I reach for if I'm not just going to kind of eyeball it. You know what I mean? I'm really going to get real close.
Yeah, that's good of you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Come on, you gotta have one. And I know what you're saying. I know exactly what everybody's thinking. This is a yellow tool in a sea of red right now. We're gonna look past that, but go get yourself a good hammer. Doesn't need to be very big, but get one that feels good in your hand. This one is probably a 16-ounce hammer, I would say. It feels like it, but a lot of different features. You got the bang side and you got the pry side. So you can, prying, you mess up that nail, you can pry it right back out and do all sorts of damage with this.
I think that people will be surprised how hard it is to drive nails in straight.
We don't do it much anymore.
We don't do it much anymore. This one has a nail setting feature, so that kind of gets your nail started, so that at least on that first little tap, you don't have your finger right there.
You don't smash your thumb,
which is nice.
Yep.
This would be considered probably a framing hammer. A finish hammer would be about 12 ounces. That's probably all you need as a homeowner for kind of putting in those dainty picture hooks. One thing I do want to point out. This has a pretty straight claw. You'll see hammers with curved claws. I personally find the straight claws to be a little bit more, useful around the house, kind of get under things, than the curved claws. The curved claws are great if you've really got to do some prying, but this allows you to get underneath.
Well, especially if you're up against a wall, then you don't have to bring the hammer over quite as far. So couldn't agree more with you on that. All right, what's next, Rufus?
This is kind of every electrician's favorite tool. It's their 11-in-1 screwdriver.
What does that mean?
It means it has 11 different bits
in
the screwdriver, Phillips, flats, and Torx bits, which are those like kind of star-pointed ones.
Okay.
But the other secret about this thing is it has a nut driver built into the barrels. So there's a nut driver. There's a nut driver.
Wow.
Typically speaking, tools that are multiple tools are kind of not good at anything. I think these are the exception to the rule. They are good screwdrivers. They're good nut drivers. They're really fast. And these are really specifically, a lot of times, made to work around electrical outlets. They're using common size stuff around the electrical outlets. And so just be able to carry this around, to have a basic screwdriver with all this functionality. It's not ratcheting. It's just pretty plain. It's cheap. They're nice. I reach for it all the time. Especially the reason to grab this is maybe you don't know what you're getting ready to get into, and so do you want to go back to the toolbox and grab a Phillips when you mistakenly took a flat? No, this will solve that problem for you.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
What's next on the list?
All right, commonly referred to as vice grips because of the company that started them. You might hear them as locking pliers, but a set of vice grips. Not everybody has the hand strength to really grab that nail that you hammered in wrong or pull a staple out of the floor. So these locking pliers, these vice grips, have some sort of
Serrated jaw.
jaw on one side. They can be regular like this. They can be needle nose. They come apart like that sometimes too. And then there's a screw on the back. So you get it, you get it onto your item. You adjust the screw so that this bottom handle locks in, and then you're in there and it's locked down and it's grabbing and holding your work for you, whatever it needs to be. So, and
I think the thing to say is whether you've made the mistake or someone else has made the mistake when they were originally building your home, these pliers are the ones that are going to kind of help fix that mistake. And I got to be honest, me and Rick, we work together sometimes. And so if I was like going to hold the screwdriver for Rick to do some pounding on the back with a hammer,
you might want to move your hand.
I don't really trust Rick that much. You put these guys on it, lock it in. Now I can get my hands away from Rick. Great tool.
Yeah.
They're indispensable around the house. They've also got a wire cutting feature or a probably cut nails with it. A lot of people don't know about it. It's inside the jaws here. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but in a pinch, they'll do. In a pinch. You like that?
I see what you did there. All right, what's our last tool here? They look pretty similar to what I've seen before.
Yeah, so our last tool is parallel jaw pliers. And what these are really doing today is they're replacing maybe what people commonly think of as a crescent wrench or an adjustable wrench. The problem with nuts and bolts is they come in a lot of sizes.
Lots of sizes.
All the way from itty bitty to big, right? And so these pliers, they have two parallel jaws on them, and they allow you to adjust to get on that right size. So yes, you can go buy a 600-piece socket set or a 30-piece wrench set, but for the average homeowner, one set of these pliers can really help all the way around the house. They can help on the car. They can get you to be able to turn those nuts and bolts that you need to. These are kind of different examples. You can see they make them pretty small all the way up to pretty big, but I keep a pair of these in my toolbox or, with me all the time just for whatever I run into.
I could see how these would be really useful for the unfortunate event that you're working on a plumbing project.
They're great for plumbing projects. They're really good. I think they kind of fit on nut and bolts better than a crescent wrench. Crescent wrenches are always backing out on you. You slide these in the right place. They're there. They're not gonna move sides on them. They've become incredibly popular. You can find them in a lot of different brands, a lot of different sizes.
That's for sure.
Just a medium size pair of these, I think, will go a long way and keep you from having to run out and buy that 300-piece socket set and kind of fix things that are around the house.
Do less with more. Well, YouTube, let us know what you think. What are some hand tools that you have around the house? Do you agree with us, or you grabbing something else?